Pardon?
You have to reorganize.
Reorganize.
Yes. Because your last meeting was October 28th. So you're going to revote for president and all that.
Here's Brian. We just keep it forward.
Motion for the same. Here a second.
Second.
And we're down to new business, right? Donald running variance for side setback, 445 West Main Street.
While we do that, why don't we get Kyle sworn in?
He's not here.
Oh, here, we don't have to worry about that. Thanks for doing this. I didn't know we had anybody here tonight.
You ready to move on? Don, I guess we want to hear from you about what your plans are.
Well, I've outgrown my present building size and I need to add on more space so we can continue completing the work that we have scheduled in to do. And so, I've looked at different ways. We've, looked at different ways to be more efficient and we've reached our maximum capacity of efficiency, and the only other way to be more efficient is to get some more space. So,
And you got a 20-foot setback, and you're going to
25 foot.
20 foot, 5 feet.
25 feet.
25 feet
Yeah.
25
setback, and you're going to, you say 3 to 5 feet within the property line?
I looked at different ways to add on. I had, I've talked with Jesse 2 or 3 times, he's come over and visited the site, and we walked around the property and looked at different ways to try to be economically, and to add on this more economical solution to my existing problem. And at that time, we've been looking at it for about 4 or 5 years expanding, and we're in the process of a 5 to 10 year growth planning stage with a consulting firm now, trying to plan out for the future of our. So anyway, last year, and I talked to Jesse, and, you know, it's not probably what I would say the best, most ideal layout, because we like to be able to drive around the building, so we told him, and I contacted the Gettys about buying a lot next door, and they said they weren't there to sell them, so I just try to get a variance so we could still build on the end of the building. So we did some more planning over the past year, and now we're at this point that we need to make a decision, so we can move forward with an expansion if possible, so.
This week, I'll do it. Wake everybody up.
I'll put it right there. Generally, the format something like this would take, we hear from the petitioner, we hear from staff, then if there's anybody who wants to speak against the petition, they'd be heard, and then the petitioner would have the opportunity to respond to those comments. Jesse has prepared a pretty thorough overview of this. Do you want to go through this, Jesse, or?
We can. It was more for my notes, but to ask.
Well, I can review it.
Yeah, you can review it.
Okay. So, obviously variances are governed by the UDO that's in effect, and there are certain standards not only in our ordinance, but the ordinance sort of mirrors the statutory considerations for variance. The UDO currently requires off-street parking for automotive services at the rate of half space per 1,000 square feet. So the 200 square foot addition would require one additional parking space.
It's actually 900.
Just 960.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
It was
that's
wrong on that.
all right, 960, correct that. Here's the thing about variances. Variances, and I've repeated this time and time again, and I'll review a case that talks about variances. Variances look at whether there is a practical difficulty with the land as it exists. A leading case decided by the Indiana Court of Appeals out of northwestern Indiana presented this situation, and I think it's instructive. There was a reverse pie-shaped lot, and a builder proposed to build a house on that lot, needed variances from the side setbacks. The BZA in that case approved the variance, but there were neighbors that opposed it, and they took it through the legal process that went all the way to the Court of Appeals. And the Court of Appeals ultimately reversed the BZA, saying that even though it's an irregularly shaped lot, that in and of itself doesn't create a problem that requires relief. The issue is, they literally said, your house is too big. You could put a house on this lot, it just can't be that big. So that's kind of an interesting situation here. I know Jesse and I talked, and I don't know if this is feasible, but if you put this addition to the rear of your building, then you avoid the setback problem. You wouldn't even need a variance, because you just get a building permit and put it there. Is there a problem with doing that? Because my concern is if you're seeking a variance for the side setback, I don't make the decisions, I just answer their legal questions. I think you've got a significant problematic issue.
The problem is, well, there's two problems. Aesthetics with the existing building, and the second problem is the cost to add on the back of the building is going to be way more expensive than to add on to the side of it.
Parking seems to be an issue if you do that too. Put it in the back. In other words, you park all those cars, you got them back there now.
Why is adding on to the back more costly, just out of curiosity?
Because of the way the building is built. If you bring back that other picture, the outline pictures. So see on the back side there, the way that, right where the door is on the back, and And so if you go across that straight line, that is a storage building that was built. The roof line is about 3 to 4 feet shorter than the rest of the building. So to tie into that existing building, you're going to have to do one of two things. You're going to have to completely change the roof line of that storage part of the building, or you're going to have to completely take it off, demolition, take the whole section off and rebuild the whole back part of the building just to add on to that, to add on the space. But it's all possible. Anything's possible if you have enough money. But if you don't have enough money and you're looking for economical place to do things, if you look at the addition that adds on the same size bay that is on the end, the red portion is the mirror size of the bay next to the door on each end. Basically, all you're adding is one concrete block wall, 2 overhead doors, and a roof. So the construction cost of that compared to the demolition and all the cost to add on the backside, that is why I was wanting to do it on the end instead of the back. But obviously, you're right. And Jesse and I had talked about that at the time last year when we visited, but the concern was, to me, was the cost, and also, personally, it's, the aesthetic-wise, I like the aesthetics of this better too.
All right, and I understand what you're saying. Another thing that I would point out, it looks like, and this is just procedural, we are 2 board members short this evening, right? Graves and Stegman. So, generally, procedurally, where the board is short, not that you would want it, but you would be entitled to a continuance until you had a full board, because for your variance to be approved, you're going to have a unanimous vote of those present tonight. We do have 4. That's entirely up to you.
So if they're all 5 here, you don't have to have a unanimous vote?
You only have, it's majority. In other words, if there's 5, it could be 3 and 2. The variance would be granted, or it could be 3 and 2 the other way. But when you're short, and I run into this, I represent developers and people all the time, and in Hancock County, the BZA was short for 2 consecutive meetings until the commissioners got somebody appointed. So it could be an issue.
So what if all 3 agree?
Here, all 3 agree either way, you're good. I'm just saying he has an option. As an attorney, when I'm representing somebody, I want to play the odds. I want as many potential votes as possible.
I agree.
So,
What's the neighbors say about that?
well, anything else from the heart of the petition? Anything else you want to say?
And I really don't know what else to say, except I don't really want to wait a whole another month just to have somebody say, yes, you're going to do it, but I don't want to not have the opportunity.
I get that. I'm just pointing it out.
You got to put me in a place. I mean, I try to do whatever you think's the best to do, so.
Anything else on the heart of the petition? So if there's nothing else, we got 2 people.
Yeah, so my father and mother, this is Diana Wilson, my father Randy Wilson, they own the property just to the west of Runyon Repair. My dad works evening shift, so he has prepared a letter for me to read.
Okay. Are you speaking in support of the?
We're in support of it.
Okay, go ahead.
In 1962, Jim Wilson built a Marathon full service station on West Main Street. The business was steady and it grew. In the middle 1980s, Jim Wilson sold the business to one of his very capable trusted mechanics, Don Runyon. When Jim passed the torch, it was his desire the business would continue to serve the automotive needs of our beloved town. As a 39-year customer, I am convinced that Jim would be happy today with this decision. Don Runyon maintains a staff of very well-trained and qualified employees. It is in Don's heart to serve local folks with high-quality service, industry standards, and competitive prices. I personally know of scenarios where running repair went beyond the call of duty. In addition, they always stand behind their work on an individual basis. I have been a student of business and history all my life. In a business, you either grow or you may decline and die. Don wants to grow his business and serve all his customers in a better and bigger way. In order for this to come to fruition, Don needs to expand the physical size of his building and to do this expansion in a way that it would be effective. For reasons already assigned, I am sincerely requesting that this board engage upon open-mindedness, open your hearts, and help this business out. Please grant Running Repair the zoning variance they need to move forward with their needed business matters. It would be for the betterment of all concerned if you grant this. I don't think there will ever be any regrets if you did.
Can you submit that, please, to the record? Thank you. Give it to Elaine, that's probably the best place. All right, is there anyone else speaking in favor of it? No. Okay. Is there anyone speaking in opposition? All right.
My name is Sarah Getty, and Kirby, my husband. We've owned the property since for about 12 years. And to the last statement here, they say it's to the betterment of the entire community, except for the people that live on the east or own on the east side of the property, because it's an encroach on our property line. So it's not betterment for us. So I have quite a bit I'd like to take and have a couple minutes.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, petitioners given 10 minutes, the non-secretary given 10 minutes.
Okay.
Those time limits can be altered depending on how much material there is. So,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay. So I consulted many sources in preparing. I talked to some Morristown town council members, 3 attorneys, Jeff Powell, who is the county surveyor, Jesse Burling, our realtor, several local residents. I looked at the new UDO, which Morristown just published as of last year. And we attempted to talk to Don, but when we asked him the question that you just raised about building on the back side, because then it wouldn't encroach on the property lines and setbacks, he shut down the conversation. And when he said that we wouldn't sell it to him, it's been discussed a few times over the years that he doesn't want to pay the price that we want for it, so that's where it got shut down. But in recent years, because of his current encroachment on the line, how he's always sitting right on the property line, I even reconsider that because if we allowed him that lot, then he'd really be right on top of it. You know, as you mentioned, there's parking problems, and so I discussed this with several attorneys, and so I was going over why variances are usually permitted and why not, and I was told many times that financial reasons are not a reason to allow a variance.
That's correct. There's case law on that fact. There's another case, reserve your time. Another notable case on the south side of Indianapolis, McDonald's wanted, they were just off of 465, they wanted a very high sign that exceeded the height limitation. And their argument was, well, if we don't get the high sign, people can't see it from the interstate, therefore we ought to get a variance because our percentage of sales for the store will drop. The variance was denied, and they again took it to the courts, but the decision of the board was affirmed, and the case does hold that an economic burden is essentially a self-imposed burden and is outside the consideration of whether a variance should be granted or not. And the whole point of a variance is you look at the land in question and focus on the developmental issues of that particular parcel. So to the extent you talk to other attorneys, I would agree with the statement you're making.
Right. And as has been mentioned, we have an aerial view. Now, I know that GIS isn't totally accurate, right? But it's pretty close. And so this is our lot. He wants to build right here where the pink is, and he says in his application on that drawing, he says possibly 3 to 5 foot from the line. Well, it's supposed to be a 25-foot setback, and 3 to 5 foot is not correct either. He said on his drawing that he was building out 24 foot from the out to the east side of that building, and we took a tape measure to it, and that 24 foot from the side of that building, it puts him right on the line. So there's no 3 to 5.
I went and walked it out today the best I could. I come up 24 foot is, I'd say it's 25 feet, just if I was guessing. But so I don't know where that front stake is, so.
Right. So it has been surveyed. There is a survey marker pin. It was done by Jeff Powell several years ago. He's now the county surveyor, so I trust his work. But even on that back end, I don't know if you can see it on there, but Dawn has gone and put some big concrete barriers, and we have pictures of that as well. He's got concrete barriers even over the line. And it's been like that for a long time. And it was like that when Jeff surveyed, and he said, well, you can make him move these, but he said, it's not a permanent structure. If you don't want to fight, then just let it be. We let it be. Okay? And you can see it all, even on those pictures there, with the cars, the trailers, the trucks, everything parked right up and down the property line. So he's constantly sitting on our property line, and we've not done anything. We're trying to be a good neighbor. We know he's in a crunch. We know that he has parking issues. So we never said anything to him. When we bought the property from Jack Warble, he told us he had a lot of issues with Dawn, and he said you're going to need to stay on top of it because there's always issues there with cars parking. So it's been an issue for a very long time. So anyway, I want to bring up the financial thing because many people have asked why he couldn't just, because you can kind of see us up here, there's actually more room to build behind the building or extend it off this portion of the building rather than putting it right on the line that he always says because it's too expensive. But the fact that it's going to cost him more shouldn't impede us as the neighbors and the sharing the property line. So I just was looking into several reasons why setbacks are established, which you guys probably all know that. You're on this board for a reason. You get into structural integrity to ensure that these buildings are properly safe. You get into aesthetics. He thinks it would be aesthetically better for him, but the UDO was set up saying we want these 25-foot setbacks for this commercial zone because we don't want our buildings on top of each other. And so the town's already decided that should be the setback. Going from the 25 down to what he says the street is really 1 foot, it's going against what the town has decided is appropriate. It deals with issues of privacy and livability. That's why we set these setbacks up in the first place. So it gives each property owner what they need to either sustain a business or live on the property. You talk about environmental sustainability, so when you have, when you're wanting to put in landscape, or we have storm runoff, from your building and different things like that, water flow is an issue, and then property value. If we were to sell our lot, and there's something built right on the property line, they're going to be like, well, why was this allowed to, have a building right here? It's supposed to be distance between the property, and then property maintenance is another big one. So, as I said before, he said 3 to 5 foot with a question mark on his drawing, so he doesn't even really know for sure. And when we measure it, it comes out 24 foot, puts him pretty much on the property line. So there'll be no setbacks. With no setbacks, we're violating the structural integrity. As he said, cars, they're coming around the building and stuff. They would be driving in our grass, if they were coming around outside of the building. The aesthetics, well, our building is on the National Historical Registry, so it's on a historical registry for the U.S. It's officially on that registry since 1979. That lot was first decided to help maintain it, to keep it so it's presented well and looks nice, because it's a historical building. And then you get into the privacy and livability. When we lose setbacks, that puts them that much closer to us. The tires, the shrubs, and everything lined up along our property. It doesn't look real good, especially for the type of property that we have. Let's see. The environmental stuff, that's the thing that bothers me too. When I talked to Jeff Powell about it, he said there's no drawing to know what he's wanting this building to look like. We don't even know the storm flow off of the water coming off. Is it going to come up onto my property? How am I supposed to take care of that? He's creating issues from runoff onto my property because he's right there on the line. There's no setback. Let's see. Property value, decreasing that from 25 foot down to nothing or 1 foot, that's not good for our property value. It's really not good for his either. You can't even get around the side of the building. And our biggest thing is maintenance. Like I said, if he puts the building right there, how is he even going to build it? I mean, he would have to bring the crew and the equipment onto my property to set the footers to build this building, because he's essentially already on the property line. And why? I mean, we can't allow him to come on our property to build his building. How will he clean the building? How will our mowing crew be able to even mow without throwing stuff on the side of his building? There's so many things. And the other issue that we're kind of worried about is the truck, how they drive around the side and how they park in there. And it's going to be, they don't have enough parking. They've outgrown their location. That happened to us before it was our business. So I know it sucks, but it should, you do have other options, and it shouldn't impede upon us. I have some pictures. As I said before, we talked to Jeff Powell. He couldn't get up here in time to locate that front pin for us. But, so they're going to give it to you, or can I present it to them? There's the pin right there. And so he put these barriers there. He's over already. But like I said, I mean, we don't want to fight, and we know he's got a crunch there. He's got some problems, but he put all these barriers even over our pin. And so we went out there and measured it. You can see here, we got it right there about the same, between 24 and 25 foot. This is another issue. He's putting stuff on our property all the time without asking. We've never said anything, though. He's put tires out there. He's put signs out there to sell beef and different things. One time he put a car out there for sale. He never asked us first, but we don't want to fight. So we don't say anything.
Is this your property?
Nope, yes, this is. And you can see how these are all parked along the line. Our mower can't even get up against there because that one's been parked there for quite a while. So it's growing weeds and whatnot. They're parked all the way down the line. You can kind of see it from this one where I show the pin. I took a long view. You can see up here all these along the line. So, as I said before, it will impede upon us. I mean, maybe the neighbors on the other side, it won't, because it's not going to, there's a road between them, so it won't impede upon them, but it will impede upon us. And so we take issue with it. Like I said, we've been trying for all these years to be good neighbors. We've never said anything. There's never been any fight between us and God, and we don't want to fight with him now, but it shouldn't be allowed that he can just build right onto the property line like that. Because he's asking to come out 24 foot, and that takes up the whole entire setback. So it would leave nothing. So future plans for us, since he's talked about his future plans, we just put $100,000 into that train station to fix it up. Just that in April. So we also have plans to redo the caboose and fix it up as well. We stopped construction when this came up, but I mean, if we feel like we're going to be encroached upon, that's going to change what we do with that property. This property has, like I said before, it is on the National Historical Registry. It's been on there since 1979. It's a pretty neat little story about the building. The previous owner, he filed for the registry, and if you look it up on online, the historical places in Shelbyville, there's only 13, and this is the only one in Morristown. This is the only place in Morristown that's on the historical registry. So we'd like to maintain its integrity. It's also important to the town. The town, I think, does appreciate the building. I know pictures of it are on the town website. You have training logos and stuff on the letterhead and whatnot for the town. So I know that, it's also important to the town. It's also a national treasure. Some of the history about it, it was set for demolition back in the early 70s, and he bought it for $1, and he moved it over to that site, and he restored it, and he tried to keep it as close to original on the inside. It's pretty cool. It's a neat little building. It's also recognized by the county because it is, there's a replication of it made, and it's on display at the Grover Museum in Shelbyville, and it was built in 1866, and inside there's a lot of old Morristown memorabilia, and it is, something that's kind of been important to the town for a long time. And it's important to us. That's why we bought it. And we told Jack Warble, when we did purchase it, that was our plan. We want it to stay a piece of history for the town. And one other thing that we were hoping to do, historically on those train stations, they would sit right on the track, and on each side of the depot, there'd be a big sign that said the name of the town. And so we've already talked to John Doty about getting a sign made. It's going to be a big sign that will hang on the side of the building that says Morristown, kind of, going back to the old historical times when it was over on the tracks, and when people come in town, they would see that, oh, okay, we're coming into Morristown. So, for us, it's important to keep that set back so you can see the property and that its integrity is maintained. And as you can see from the drawing, if he did build on that side, he's very close to the line. But he has the option to build on the back, and it wouldn't impede on any other neighbors or us. So, that's our thoughts on it.
Do you own the other, can you go back to the picture? Thank you. Do you own the parcels that are?
We own all of that.
Essentially the whole point.
The house, the barn.
So 10 and 18 are also your property. All right, anyone else?
No, 16, 17, 19, 18.
Yeah, I don't know the numbers right.
Okay.
Is that where?
I got my glasses on.
Well,
I get through those.
I got my high-tech contacts on. Okay. Here we got the 18 and 19 after. All right. Anyone else?
I'd just like to say, I know we're together, so I took a little bit of her 10 minutes. I didn't prepare like she did, but, adding 24 foot to a building, where you only have 24 to 30, whether it's 0 foot or 5 foot, I don't know. You're building more than 90% of this addition into a setback zone. If you're adding a house to a lot and you're going to put, a couple feet of the house where you're less than 10% of the house onto the, I get it, but we're talking the entire addition is going to be in the setback zone. It really just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to, you guys set these setbacks. You guys said that this is how we want our property to be handled in the town. Maybe not you guys, but the town did. So to say, we're gonna have these rules in town for our property unless somebody wants to not have them, and then we'll just ignore the rules and do whatever is cheaper or better looking, or it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So
The other thing for me, when I think variance, I'm thinking, well, there's other codes, right? There's some 15 foot, some 20 foot. So if he would come and say, well, can we bring it from 25 down to 20? We'd be like, okay, you know, you're 5 foot, you know. But taking up the entire setback and putting it right on the property line, it's not fair to us.
Is there anyone else speaking in opposition to the petition? Okay, you have a few minutes to respond.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything they said, except I do want to say, there's 2 points that I want to clear up. One is, I have asked the Gettys, well, mainly Will has asked the Gettys in the last 5 years, or at least Curry, if he's interested in selling the lot. And his response has always been, no, we are not. They have never shot me a price, whether I agree with the price or not. They have never given me a price, not once. And last May, when I talked with Jesse, he said, why don't you talk to the Gettys before we apply for a variance to see if they would be interested in selling it, so that you would have that property, that lot. And I did. I called and talked with Kirby, and he said, well, let me talk to Sarah. And he did talk to Sarah, and he responded back exactly the same. Because I said, well, if you don't want to sell me the whole lot, sell me 15 feet of the lot. And his answer was, if we sell you 15 feet, it will reduce the value of his total property, which I agree with, and we are still not interested in selling the property.
When I say,
I said, let me finish, I didn't interrupt you, don't interrupt me. So I responded to that with, okay, I will apply for a variance. And then I continued for a year studying different things about my business and still decided to apply for a variance now. And so that's what brought me to this point. And then, when they received their letter, he did ask me about the site, and I replied by saying I didn't know because I hadn't got written plans, but I wasn't going to spend the money yet. And then he did ask me about filling on the back, and no, I did not respond. I didn't want to have a conversation via text, and so I did not respond to that. The second point I want to make is, yes, I know we encroach on that grass line, but when they bought that property and had that surveyed, and they put them survey stakes out there, I told them that from my understanding from when I bought the property, and they surveyed it from the other direction, their survey stakes were over the property line, where I was under the understanding the property line was with that telephone pole, which is about, there's probably a 2 or 3 foot discrepancy either way. So, but I never said anything about it either, because have always tried to be a good neighbor. And I do know where that pin is in the back is right in the middle of that concrete block that I did. Those barriers I put there to try to keep stuff from being able to roll past the property line like gravel and all that, and try to keep it neat and trim. So I mean, and yes, it is. There is a lot of cars in and out there, and I understand their concern, and yes, we have tried to be good neighbors all along, so.
I think what we're talking about was early on when we bought it. He asked us about buying that lot. And we had said, well, you know, and then he kind of made the statement that he would decide if our price was worth what he thought, but kind of was a little bit contentious about it, like, it might not be worth it to him what we think it's worth. And since then, our minds have changed because of how the property, it has been maintained with those cars right up against the property line. A lot of times there's tires stacked out there. So our minds changed about selling that lot, because that would put it right on top of our building if we sold him that side lot. And we don't want that right beside our train station, which I mentioned is a historical site.
I understand that, but nothing has changed. You have never offered the property to me for any dollar value, never.
Yeah, we're not.
So it doesn't matter.
We're not gonna.
Well,
That doesn't matter.
and again,
I would have.
that's beyond the purview of what we're here to do.
Yeah, but anyway, that's but my business has never changed. The parking has never changed. The location and all of what is there has been exactly the same for 62 years. The parking, the driveway, nothing has changed. So it's not different from when it started, other than it's cleaner, neater, and yes, in 1974, they did add that last bay that was there. And so, yes, that's changed, but all the rest of that, the whole property and the line and the parking and the cars and the tires and have been going on there in that location since 1962. So,
Yes, but, as we said, you have other options there. And you keep mentioning financial, and by saying, well, that's not a reason to, add on to the property line. So, I mean, we don't want your business to do poorly, we want you to continue to do well, but you do have other options. You could add that same addition, maybe even more, onto the backside. And it might cost you more, but like I said, we own businesses as well, and, we face those same problems in our businesses. We've had to expand, and it costs money. I mean, we don't like it, but it's part of doing business, unfortunately.
Okay. Is there any other comments from anybody else on the petition? Any questions from the ward?
Yeah. The existing fence, who owns that? There's a fence back there, isn't there? No? No
it's
fence?
a block
I thought there was like a wooden,
fence, but it's a block.
a wooden fence. I thought I saw a wooden fence run.
Oh,
Well,
well,
that's on,
that's on their property.
They own both sides of the fence. That's totally on their property.
Well, that's just what I was wondering. So the condition of the fence didn't look so good.
but that's not the,
I know that's not
we
the
can
point.
replace that fence, but that's not on this
But
property.
I'm thinking,
And we do plan to replace
I'm
that fence.
thinking that maybe a fence is an option. Privacy fence between properties.
And that has been mentioned to me as well, but see, if he's coming out 24 foot, he doesn't have room for.
Yeah, that's another question. Where's this 3 to 5 foot? Where's this 3 to 5 foot come from? If she's measuring all the way out to the
Oh,
property.
well, she's totally correct. If you come off the corner of the building, going straight across to the property line, yes, it's at 24 feet, which is what I just measured in, just a rough layout of the side of the, service bay. If you come off each corner, it comes over to the property line, depending on where you lay the line, it comes within 3 to 5 feet of the line. I mean, she's told us, I measured it, and, I mean, I know that. So that's.
So a fence would have a setback too, so he would have to set back a fence on his property, and that would take up more of his space.
So you said it came within a foot.
Well, it could, yeah, it's been that.
And here it says 3 to 5.
Well, he just,
Well,
that's
that's
the question mark.
Huh?
Yeah.
That's the petitioner's submission. I mean, they didn't have anything to do with these dimensions.
That's gone.
The only thing, it's interesting, and it's kind of subtle, but the front line of the building does not appear to be parallel to 52, which would affect the
I never
measurement.
noticed that.
I mean, it's not dramatic, but if you know, that red line runs right down the middle of 52, and then you look at the building is kind of sitting.
I didn't realize.
I know when I walked it out, I walked right here and kind of eyeballed it. I got about 25 feet to the corner of that building. That's what I.
Well,
Yeah.
whether it's 3 feet, 5 feet, 1 foot,
Yeah.
the addition is going to bring it essentially to the property. Say, whatever the actual dimension.
And I just eyeballed it.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very close to the property line. Any other questions from the board? Comments?
Jason?
No, go ahead. No, I don't have. What about there's a lot of requirements here about landscaping and that sort of thing. Do they not apply?
Not for the variance. Yeah.
Not for the variance?
That would be when you apply for a
If the
building
variance
permit.
were granted and if he then proceeded with the addition, then he has to provide requirements on landscape, et cetera.
We would,
The facade has to be harmonious with what exists,
Yeah.
on masonry requirements and all that.
we're just talking about the setback.
In other words, Jesse went beyond what he had to do.
Okay.
Can I ask one more question? When you said the fence, that was mentioned to me that it's been done before. I think they did that over at, Fromberg maybe. I was told that the neighbors back there had some issues with some things that were allowed and they had to put a fence up and landscape around it. And like I said, that would still be an issue because when you build a fence, he would be the one that would have to build it if he asked me, for that. You have to build that back so far off the property line, right?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's gotta be on,
It has to be on his side. It can't encroach, but it could be right up to the property.
And that would also be a problem. How would you maintain it? It's right on the property line.
That's an issue. I mean, frequently people maintain each side and so on.
Can I ask a question here?
Yeah.
Since you asked me if I wanted to have an extension or have all 5 board members vote on it, but I asked for that extension and that way it would give me another month to reevaluate this conversation and the location of this addition and looking at it, and then if I want to proceed with the variance, I can have a vote next month rather than have the vote tonight.
Okay, so gentlemen, again, in this instance, I'm speaking from experience in other jurisdictions because I do a ton of this kind of work. Normally, if there's a short board, then either side can request a continuance, and that continuance is not charged to either party. By example, a lot of county BZAs, municipal BZAs, each party can get a continuance once saying we want a continuance, but after that, it's more discretion on the part of the board. It's entirely up to you. I mean, ordinarily, it would be granted. I mean, it would be helpful to have a real measurement to know exactly what we're talking about, but that's entirely up to you at this point, since everything's been presented this evening.
He wants a continuation, I don't see any reason why not.
So it's been moved and seconded to grant a continuance due to the board being short-staffed.
Can I ask one more question about the staff? We were told that one of the members is the wife of one of his employees. So our lawyer said she would have to recuse herself. She takes financial gain.
That may or may not be the case. The statutes on conflict of interest are actually far narrower than.
Well, I'd like it to be noted that I asked about that, because our lawyer said to get it on public comment.
That's
Because they said we could take it to the state.
That's fine, that's been noted. So it's been moved and seconded to grant a continuance. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimously passed. So when would this come back to?
I have one more statement. How is it going to be any different next time? Like, if we're not requiring a survey, we're not requiring an actual blueprint, how?
Well, it may or may not be different, and
Yeah.
admittedly, there's some delay, but I mean, that's, continuing it at the request of the petitioner under the circumstances, the correct procedural thing to do.
Because we have issue with that UDO, because I think it probably should have been required, which we can't do anything about now, but I just think.
Well,
it would give the
you
board
mean
a
the-
little bit more idea.
you mean the application requiring a survey done?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not in there, which we may revisit that at some time, but.
I there's too many question marks, it feels like.
Continuance has been requested, so
Well, I'm not saying not, I'm just saying it's gonna be the same.
we're obligated to let it happen, as far as I can see.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you
You know,
voted,
so
so,
you don't grant it or deny it. It's requested, you
That
do
was
it.
my question, I was just thinking we asked for more information to be brought in.
I don't bring the
Question mark
information,
on
so.
there about, we're saying 3 foot, 5 foot, question mark.
She's asking, can the board request him to bring better measurements?
well,
Yeah.
let's answer this question first. Will it be the 3rd of October?
Well, the 3rd of October is when we're ready.
We won't be here in town. We'll be out of
We'll
town.
be out, I'll be out of town.
I will be too.
So,
It doesn't necessarily have to be on a Wednesday. October 1st is on a Wednesday.
does October 1st work?
When's fall break?
That might work.
If that's, I thought your normal meeting date was the first Wednesday of the month.
Eh,
When they need to.
Yeah, we'll be good that day, October 1st, but does that give everybody?
Good for you guys.
That's fine,
10-1, okay, 10-1 at 6:30.
And, I'd like to point out to the board on the application, page 6. If you read page 6, at the top it says the Morristown Board of Zoning Appeals must determine that the following criteria have been met for 1, 2, and 3.
And that's in the, yeah, I was.
That's in the application.
Yeah.
You guys have to determine if those 3 items have been met.
And that's in section 8, and I think it's 8.92, I believe.
I don't know if our application is in the UDO.
No, but the criteria for the
Oh, yeah, it's in there too.
8.9 development standard.
Yeah, I can look it up if you want me to.
No, I've got it right in front of me. I was swinging around for you. But the petition format follows the UDO.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the matter's been continued. Now, the question is, well, can you require more stuff? I mean, generally speaking, your planning director can request whatever additional information he or she would feel benefits the board. So we take a look at this, and if there's additional information that would be helpful, we can ask for it.
We need to ask for it tonight, or,
No,
I mean,
no, just prior to 10-1, we don't have a procedural rule. Other bodies do have procedural rules that new information needs to be submitted 5 days before the hearing, 10 days before the hearing in some jurisdictions. So, I mean, if we're going to ask for more information, we don't want to just wait to the last minute to get it.
well, I think the board needs a better measurement on that 3 to 5 feet. If you can possibly.
Yeah, that's confusing.
You know, I went over there and tried to find the front stake. I didn't have any luck, so I just kind of eyeballed it, you know. I feel it's hard for them to make a decision if they don't know the exact distance. That's the only thing I want to maybe request.
All right.
Building materials.
What line do we use? We use the one they got, or the one that I was always,
Well, if you're saying their survey don't match yours, you probably ought to go get your own. That's what I'm gonna suggest. If you're saying their survey's incorrect, then you probably ought to go get your own.
Again, that's not uncommon this day and age. With the addition of GPS and so on, land surveys are becoming more and more accurate. I deal with situations where there are variances between surveys all the time.
Now, what if his comes back different than theirs?
Well, excellent question. Believe it or not, there is a statutory process to deal with that.
Okay.
Have you ever had a survey?
no, I did not have a survey when I bought it from them.
Yeah.
I went on what Jim said that the property line where it is. Yeah. We did not have it. But there was stakes out there at the front, which there's not been for years. There never was one in the back. But now there's one in the back and you can't find one in the front. So, I don't know.
Well, I didn't have a metal detector or anything, you know, but normally I don't go out and look for survey stakes, but.
I called Jeff Powell, he gave me the measurements, he said from the back stake is 203 foot and 4 inches.
From the back stake.
203 foot and 4 inches from where?
From the back, from the back.
Yeah, it could be angled, you know, that's why I'm saying I ballparked it, you know. It depends, I mean, the basic rule in land surveying is a surveyor goes and relies upon what has gone before, okay? But I've seen wild things in surveys. I have a situation right now, and it's in court. Surveyor A says, here's the boundary line. Surveyor B says, here's the boundary line. There's a 6-foot strip between the two of them. Both surveyors think they're right.
6 feet is long.
But surveys are cheap to get done, so.
Well, it depends. If there's a lot of field work, I mean, surveys can run into thousands of dollars. Of course, it depends. You know.
Our survey was $500.
Yeah, okay, $750, $500. I mean, whenever I deal with property, I get a state survey. So. All right, well, it's been continued, and it will be heard at 6:30 p.m. on October the 1st. Notice has already been given. There is no need to republish. There is no need to mail additional notice. See that? Is there any more business to come before the board?
Any old business? Any new business? Motion to adjourn?
So moved and seconded. To adjourn?
Yes,
I'll just
You better get home, Jason.
I'm out of here.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thanks for being here.
Well, it's unfortunate we didn't have to get it